Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Togo. I want us to keep wanting to say to go, but we're not ordering food here. This is a Disney Plus original movie that premiered last year ish. I can't remember exactly when, but it's from 2019. I guess that I should just look at that. Looked at that. It's an hour and 57 minutes long, and it is a survival tale based on a true story. Um, it makes somewhat of a point that you may have heard of a dog named Balto. You may have seen the animated film that tells the story of this brave dog that traversed harsh conditions in order to get a collection of serums to save the lives of about 30 children or so up in Nome, Alaska, during one of the biggest, most horrible storms of the century. I think it was 1925 or so. Yeah, yeah, 1925, and it's Balto's a big deal. They made a statue of him in New York City. A brave dog. Unfortunately, Balto may have been the dog that finished the race. And got his name in the newspapers and his photo and everything else. Uh, However, there's more to the story than that. Uh, there, there was about 20 dog sled teams uh, that were part of a relay that had to move the serum from I think Anchorage to Nome, and it's about 600 some miles, or more than six. Well, it's more than that. It's a lot more than that, but it's a considerable distance, and planes couldn't fly. I mean, it's 1925, so air flight is still pretty new, um, and when you're dealing with high winds and heavy snow and everything else, it becomes impossible to traverse. Um, in comes Willem Dafoe plays Leonard Seppala. Leonard Seppala. I just couldn't remember his last name. So Leonard is a guy who has dog sleds. He has dogs. He sometimes races them. He's also kind of a courier, going to moves things from place to place, and in good conditions. You can handle it. It's not it's something that he does, that he can do, because that's what these dogs kind of live for. They live for that run. Well, in bad conditions, it's almost a suicide mission, and that's exactly what Leonard and his dogs, led by Togo, are faced with. And if the serum does not make it to Nome, to their tiny little town, children are going to die. And that's not to make it over dramatic. I mean, it literally, that's how it was. There was maybe 28 kids and some adults that had diphtheria, and it was necessary to get that medicine to them. And this is a strange mix. I mean, honestly, you look at this right here; it looks so Photoshop. He looks so smooth. Honestly, you want Willem Dafoe to look he looks weathered naturally, like a man who has lived his life in harsh conditions. That's not to say he's not a handsome man. He's just, he fits more in the Green Goblin scale of things than the Ryan Reynolds level of things, the Deadpool. I mean, come on, he is he is a man with pronounced features. No, and not the least of which are his eyes. And his eyes tell a story in every scene he's in. No matter how gruff he is, or how much he does not like Togo, especially as a pup, as a kid, little pup, who's always getting in trouble and always getting underfoot and always messing with things. He's a runt. He was the runt of the litter, and well, you get to see not just the mission they go on, not just the trip they take across this dangerous land, but you also get to see in flashback how they became close, how Togo became the lead dog in his dog sled, when he was the kind of dog who was not meant for that kind of job at all. At least traditionally, most people would assume that he wouldn't be. All told, I mean, this is, I mean, there's, yeah, it's a lot of digital effects. It is very, you can tell it's somewhat the digital effects. It doesn't make it any less exciting or harrowing or just intense with how the dogs are pulling this sled, especially sequences going up mountains and down mountains, and then traversing a frozen lake, like not a small lake, a humongously huge lake. That's redundant, but still a huge, huge lake, and traveling across it as, I mean, ice that's many feet thick, just cracking under the pressure of the storm and everything else, and just having this little set of 8 or 9 dogs and a man on a sled sliding across it, and it's bad enough when and it's terrifying enough when you if you see that somebody actually experienced this, to realize that they have to come back this way as well in order, once they get to where they're going, they have to go back. And yeah, it's you can sort of tell the William Dafoe stuff was all shot in a studio kind of thing, I guess. It's as there's also a lot of interesting camera tricks they use through this, not tricks I should say, but the way they use the camera, they get really down on the at the dog's level, at the what you call its level, the sled's level, and it just really makes the action a little bit as intense as you can get it. And there's also times when they just pull out so wide, you realize just how much they have to go up against. It's not a quick trip, and like I said, there's 20 different. You know, I almost shouldn't spoil that. I said there's like 20 different dog sled teams throughout this. I'm going to just leave that accomplishment of Togo's for those of you who watch it, to understand just how much he went through, and Leonard and everybody else, all the dogs on that team went through, just to compare to everybody else. And Time magazine eventually recognized Togo many decades later. But yeah, it's a really intense film, but it's also a many hanky level film. It's all very sweet, and you show this bond between Leonard and Togo, and his wife also, who is played by Julianne Nicholson. Yeah, Julianne Nicholson plays his wife, and she's the one who kind of believes in Togo from the start, when Leonard is not really on his side. But like I said, when you see Willem Dafoe, I'll never get that right. It's a spelling, you know. I just still want to say William, but anyway, you can see that no matter how gruff and how determined, how obstinate he is, that you can look in his eyes and you can see exactly how he feels about this dog, and he feels responsible for a lot of what the dogs, especially Togo, goes through in order to make this happen. And again, they're only part of the whole thing, and only a handful of people truly understood who made the big sacrifice, who did the big trip out of all of them. So this is something, an unsung hero who, well, I mean, he got sung, but not as sung as, say, Balto. So yeah, I highly recommend you watch this. It's super intense. It's super exciting, and you'll just love the dogs. The dog, especially Togo as a puppy, come on, he's adorable. These huskies are just freaking gorgeous. So yeah, that's kind of what I can really tell you about that. It's directed by Eric Erickson Core, written by Tom Flynn. Yeah, so there's a few familiar faces throughout here you might recognize, especially. Well, yeah, if you know a lot of Native American actors or indigenous actors, you'll recognize a few faces throughout here because you can't be living in Alaska and not have any indigenous characters in the story. Seriously, it's just that would be weird. So yeah, that's really all I can tell you about Togo. Togo to go. Yeah, this is all. I didn't think I would be into this as much as I did, but I love William Defoe. Willem Dafoe, and he is definitely not the Green Goblin in this. He is. It's rare that he gets a chance to play a hero, a good guy. He's so good at playing bad guys, and he does. He's played as good guy here and there. But he was like an alien in John Carter. Did the voice of the tall. The name of the aliens? I forget. In John Carter, which either nobody saw or everything got panned and forgotten. But check it out against the type he usually gets anyway. And once again, regardless of what role he's in, everything he does is in his eyes, and it's pretty dang great. So let's pick tomorrow's episode. Wizards of Waverly Place tomorrow on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge.